Right, next item on the agenda is this bank of trees in the middle distance, which is going to push these trees back as they belong beyond the church. It's actually quite difficult to drag and create a hit and miss effect, so the technique more is to be sort of stabbing in the paint a little bit like that. But as I said, a little bit stronger. There's some almost neat raw sienna. Right, now we'll bring some stronger ultramarine blue in. It's just got a little touch of the permanent rose added for a little bit of variety. Right, now that's nearly dried, but while it's been drying I've mixed up a pinky grey colour. It's mostly raw sienna, this colour, but I've just added a touch of the permanent rose and a little extra touch of the ultramarine blue. Right, now I'm going straight down the clock tower. I'm just going to fill that in as well because that's going to be darkened a little later on. And bring that there, but wherever possible, once I've got enough space to play around with the brush, I'm going to just put this colour in almost as if I'm actually laying bricks on the church. Now you can see the way that's working. You can do it very, very quick, but it means you can leave little bits of little highlights. Incidentally, the buttress there and that one there are at 45 degrees to the end of the church wall. They're not actually that way or that way, they're actually on an angle. That's why they look the way they do. So I haven't got the perspective wrong on that, honest. So you've really got to keep moving. This is one, I'm sure you'll be pleased to know that this is one exercise I really can't afford to stop and yap. I've just got to keep things moving. Now this buttress is also on an angle on the main part of the church building. The bottom part will be in a shadow cast by this wall, but this top part here will certainly be picking up some sunlight, so we'll paint it accordingly. Okay, same colours now for the shadow side of the building, only a lot stronger. I'm going to add some more blue into this colour because I want that and there as a very definite light against dark or dark against light with those background trees. Right, while that's drying off, I'm just going to put some very pale blue into the windows of the church here. Oh yes, and we must put in, before I forget, some shadow on that wall or on that buttress there. I'm going to leave little bits of highlighted, I was going to say white paper, but it's not, because the advantage of covering it early with the raw sienna means that the highlights are actually going to be very, very warm. They're not going to be stark white, they're going to be quite warm. Now by splaying out the bristles, you can see I can get some slightly more raggedy effects. I'm just managing to push enough of that pigment around there, the dark pigment, just to let it blend gently, and then we'll just clear out the space where the rock is just to make sure it's absolutely the shape we want it. We're going to have that as a blue-grey, some blue-grey into the shadow area. We still want it reasonably light, so we'll just leave a little bit of light patch on it. Now, do you see the point I was making before about these branches? Just the simple act of putting these branches across the front of the church pushes the whole thing back. What I'm just going to try and do is get a few little leaf clusters stabbed in here and there. I'm going to have to go back over these with some darker colour in a moment or two. Right, I've just lifted out a little bit of that colour which had gone a little bit too dark in the bell tower, but as far as the painting goes, that's it. Right, now I've started doing some of the pen work, but you can see I've done very little in the background. Just a hint here, just to put a few louvers in. I'm using the sepia colour, but nothing too detailed, because the further an item is away, then the less detail it'll have. And in fact, if you put too much pen work in, it's going to bring everything too far forward. The reason, incidentally, that I'm using brown is that I personally find that the black can at times get, particularly if you're learning how to use this, it can get a little bit stark. I suggest that if you're going to use pen and wash, try starting off, at least try using the brown ink, because it's a little bit more rustic. It's sort of more in keeping with the brown colours anyway on the on the picture, and it won't stand out quite so much if things don't all go perfectly to plan. Right, now what I hadn't done was to bring some shadows in here, which helps to highlight everything and lead the eye into this sort of area here. Right, now you can see I'm just adding in some of the detail on the branches, and really I'm just concentrating on the bits of the branches that I feel would be either in shadow or would benefit from being strengthened, for example across the front of the church. I hope you can see that by using hot press paper, yeah, it does take a little getting used to, especially when you're putting skies on, but you can see the beautiful way the colours blend in a very, very almost surreal way, and that you can really exploit this gentle blending of the colours to create beautiful effects. Oh, incidentally, with pen and wash, you don't have to use the pen work at the end as I've done. A lot of artists actually draw the picture with pen, particularly with black pen, and then fill in the colours afterwards. So I suggest you don't only have a go at pen and wash in the style that I've done, but try it also with the drawing done first in pen work. But in the meantime, there we are. I hope you've enjoyed that exercise, Melling Church in pen and wash.